Hello guys, Crispy here and welcome back to another video. It is my friends, I'm finally gonna be testing an AMD GPU in Man Remastered. This is the AMD Radeon RX 6600 XT in Man. I just told you anyways. As usual, we're running it with the latest AMD drivers at the time of recording the video, Adrenaline Edition 22.8.1. I'm not overclocking this card. This is the Afox model of it, and mine actually has a few heating issues, just letting you know, okay? But it doesn't throttle, so we can still see proper RX 6600 XT performance, and you can see all of its specs here in Tech PowerUp's GPU-Z. It's an 8GB GDDR6 GPU, PCI Express 4.0 x 8 is being utilized, and resizable bar is enabled. Over on the left, we're pairing it with a Ryzen 9 5900X and 32GB of RAM to avoid CPU bottlenecks, and let's get into it now, shall we? Alright, we're here, let's go through the settings first, and I'm playing at 1080p resolution using no upscaling at the moment, but we're also going to test FSR 2.0 and higher resolutions, and we're using the very high settings. And I'm also very curious to see how RayTracing will work with this card. It's turned off at the moment, but we will test it a little bit later as well. Oh yes, I actually forgot how good this GPU was. Look at this. We're playing at native 1080p, very high settings, which are the maximum in this game, without the RayTracing of course, and it's looking really good, and it's performing very, very smoothly as well. However, it might not be as good as the NVIDIA counterpart in this game, because I've heard you guys telling me that it actually runs better on an NVIDIA GPU. So that's a little bit of a bummer here, but as you can see, you can still have a pretty solid and very smooth experience here with the RX 6600 XT. Also, take a look at that power usage, by the way. This card is extremely power efficient here, as you can see. It's not even utilizing its full 130 watts that it can use in other games, probably because this game is just, it's different in terms of how it utilizes the GPUs, you know. I've seen the same thing with other GPUs, it just doesn't utilize all of their power properly, and that's why we're seeing such low power utilizations there. But that's actually insane, guys. Seeing 100 watts of power usage and getting really good FPS, pretty much always above 60 FPS. Very, very nice indeed. Finally, I've been trying to find this huge park since the start of the video. Sometimes I get lost in this huge city, but it's beautiful to look at anyway, so no problems, you know. But yeah, this is a pretty intensive area for the GPU to render, because all of the foliage is super GPU intensive, obviously, and it's getting pretty solid frames per second still. I expect a little bit better around here, honestly, guys, seeing that we got like 100 FPS on average outside of this area. Yeah, sometimes it drops into the 60s around here, so it could be a little bit better, you know. I guess this game is indeed more optimized for NVIDIA stuff, but overall it's still a solid experience, always above 60 FPS at native 1080p resolution. So now I will enable some FSR 2.0 just to see how it looks and how it performs here with this card. Oh my god, that's a huge improvement in FPS. Wow, that is crazy. Also, since we're seeing such a huge improvement in FPS, I think they might have fixed the bug where it doesn't apply FSR or DLSS properly, because I usually need to restart the game to fully apply everything. But just in case, I will do it again, okay? So it seems like it is around the same as we were seeing before the restart. They might actually have fixed it. VRAM usage is still very similar as well as when I applied FSR 2.0, but it's going up slowly right now, actually. But yeah, as you can see, it does make a big difference right here. Instead of dropping into the 60s, we only drop into the 80s, maybe 70s at times. Yeah, look at that. Ooh, 69 on the lowest there. That's pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, FSR 2.0 does a pretty good job at upscaling the image here in this game, but you can definitely see some shimmering, especially on the windows and stuff. And around Spider-Man as well. I guess if you like the sharper image that FSR 2.0 provides over native 1080p with TAA anti-aliasing, this could end up looking better to you. I don't know. If I had a native 1080p monitor, I would choose to play at native 1080p with this card though, because it still gets 60 plus all of the time. Very, very solid experience. And now I will leave FSR 2.0 enabled because we will enable some ray tracing technology. It will actually crash, because sometimes when you enable it inside of the game, it just crashes. I think. Unless... Oh, it didn't crash. Okay, it just takes a really long time to apply on AMD cards. Interesting. That's interesting behavior there. Not sure if it fully applied, though. Oh my god, it's getting really low FPS looking back at the city here. Oof, that's terrible. I will actually restart the game because, yeah, the power usage is super low right there and the VRAM is not maxed out, so I think something fishy is going on. Oh god, it seems to be pretty much the same thing. Look at that. That's terrible. Okay, I don't like that, guys. This is pretty bad. GPU usage is not maxed out, weirdly. I don't know what's happening there. Is it a CPU bound scenario? It can't be, because with 3080 Ti, we got more FPS, and 3060 Ti, and even the 3050. So, yeah, the CPU can't be a bottleneck here. It's just the way ray tracing works in these cards is different from the NVIDIA ones, I guess. So unless you have like a 6800 XT or better, I wouldn't really turn on this effect, because, yeah... 20 FPS is just terrible, right? It is on very high, though, the ray tracing technology here, instead of high, but high looks pretty bad. I would honestly just utilize the normal screen space reflections if I wasn't utilizing very high ray tracing, because high is just not very good looking. But as you can see, instead of 27 FPS, we're getting 30s. Still drops a little bit, though. You can actually see it very well here on the cars. Doesn't look very impressive on high, honestly. It has a lot of noise and it's very pixelated and it still gets really low FPS. I just disable it, guys, honestly. Oh, hello there, buddy. How's it going? Okay, just turned off ray tracing reflections, and as you can see, it's not accurate anymore, the reflections, you know. You can't really see yourself reflecting off of the cars, but at least they're not pixelated and noisy, so if you're not really licking all of the cars and windows of this world, which you actually kind of do a lot, especially the windows, yeah, I would just not use ray tracing. With that said, let's disable FSR now and play at 1440p next. Just gonna fully apply the settings, so restart again. Okay, native 1440p resolution, looking gorgeous compared to 1080p. That's for sure. So sorry to disrupt your dinner. Not dinner, lunch. Yep, it's midday almost. So anyway, look at that. That's incredible, actually. We didn't really lose a ton of FPS compared to 1080p. Now we should, and we will definitely drop from 60 FPS, since we've seen like 62 right there. So it's a little bit of a bummer that we can't really achieve 60 plus all of the time at 1440p native. But you know, FSR 2.0 is still there for us to use, and at higher resolutions it looks better than at lower resolutions, and it actually looks awesome at the 1440p and 4K resolutions, so I would honestly enable it at these higher reses. But if you don't want or like any upscaling technology, well, this is what you can expect. 1440p is still very playable for a single player title. Again, it could be a little bit better, and I expected it to be a little bit better, not gonna lie, but it is pretty solid, guys. Right now I'm making my way to the big park. Oh, and this area is actually pretty intensive down there as well, seeing like all of the NPCs around us, and it has a ton of reflections on the ground. Look at that. Looks pretty good, and it's getting 60s around that. Oh, 69 FPS on average, that's really amazing. You know what, guys, after all, with those averages, this is the perfect Spider-Man experience. Alright, curious to see how the RX 580 will do in this game as well. Maybe that's the next GPU. Oh no, wait, the 1060 actually has more requests than the 580, so that's first. But yeah, tomorrow we should test the 580, and later today the 1060. So as you can see here, by the way, it's dropping into the lower 50s at times. Not terrible, not awesome. Alright, FSR 2.0 is enabled. Didn't really change all that much, I think. Yeah, that is a lot better after the restart. We gained like 20 frames. That's crazy. And once again, it's looking fantastic. It actually, I will say it looks like native 1440p here, using FSR 2.0 on quality. Maybe sometimes you can see some pixelation around moving objects, like Spider-Man. Is he a object? I am not English. That's always my excuse for everything weird I say. Alright, so dropping down into the lower 60s at times. I don't really see it dropping from 60 though, so this is definitely a pretty compelling option here to play this game. Wow, if you have a 1440p monitor, which I know a lot of people do with the 6600 XT, I think I would choose these settings, guys. 60 FPS is more than enough for a game like this. It doesn't shimmer anywhere near as much as 1080p, although sometimes you can still see a little bit, just a tiny bit of shimmering in some of the buildings, like this one in front of us right here. But getting close to it, it disappears, basically. Reflections, well, they're not ray traced, but they look pretty alright for what they are. And finally, I think that getting like 70 to 80 frames is a heck of a lot better than 60 or 55. It was actually dropping to like 55 or 54 around here, just walking around like this. So, wow. It actually saves the little RX 6600 XT here, the FSR 2.0. What happened here, by the way? I have not seen this before. Ooh, that is wrecked. A wrecked bicycle. That's very, very sad, actually. Hope it doesn't happen to me, because I actually ride the bike a lot. Who was the driver? You? You were the driver, that's you right, bastard. Come on, can I shoot this? Yes! In the face! Come on, come on! No? Okay, it doesn't work. Hope this guy gets better. He's gonna be fine, right? Wait a second, this is also pretty demanding, this area. 61. Yep. It's because you gotta render all of these buildings. 56 there, did you see that, guys? Still drops a little bit sometimes. But if you disable the FPS counter, I doubt you will notice that, because it's only for a split second anyways. Okay, this is it. Minimum FPS is around like 51 or whatever. So it's pretty solid still, guys. I would play the game like this once again. Okay, now we gotta go to 4K. So I will actually disable the anti-aliasing at this huge resolution, because it's not really that needed. And let's go. 3840 by 2160 is the resolution. And we're getting 30s. But the VRAM is not maxed out, so I will restart the game. Oh boy, this is it. This card wasn't made for 4K gaming, so what? How is it getting 60s? Okay, 50s still? Are you kidding me? That's pretty good. Let's go up there right away. Come on, Spider Bug, let's go. All right. Oof. I guess I expected this, right? Because at 1440p it was already dropping into the 30s, so yeah, this is definitely not a good option to play at native 4K resolution with a 6600 XT. But hey, at least now we're reaching 80 degrees Celsius at times, because the power usage is a little bit higher than the previous resolutions. That's interesting to see. And swinging around the city, actually, it doesn't seem to drop too much from 30 frames per second. There's also a like 160 watt version of the 6600 XT on the higher end models, and that will boost a little bit higher, of course, and it will probably be enough to get 30 plus around these areas at least, but of course up there it's gonna be terrible anyways with any 6600 XT, unless you use some FSR 2.0, of course, which we should enable that right away, because I don't think anybody's gonna play like this unless you lock the FPS to 30 and you don't really care too much about the slowdowns here and there. FSR 2.0 quality, continue. It is enabled now, but I will restart once again. Come on, Spider-Man. Beat the crap out of that vent. I don't like the vent either. Alright. So, it gets 50s around here. So, this is actually pretty nice. Look at this. It's not dropping from 30 FPS looking in that direction anymore. It barely drops into the 30s at times, actually. Look at that. Wow, 35. Not bad. Looking at all of this, which is super intensive again. And well, I see less jaggies now with FSR 2.0 than we did at native 4K resolution. That's probably because at native res I disabled TAA, and now it is actually using some sort of anti-aliasing here when utilizing FSR 2.0. I actually got used to calling it spider bug now. It's just because in the last video I tested the 750 Ti and that went a little bit terribly with the bugs. But look at that. Oh boy, it still drops into the 20s sometimes, but it's very rare for that to happen actually. I can still enjoy the game like this, honestly. Just lock it to 30, play with the controller. I think it's going to provide a console-like experience, or last-gen console-like experience. So yeah, we should stop calling the 30 FPS experiences a console experience, right? It's about time to acknowledge that we have been beaten. I'm just kidding, of course. PC is always the best. Yeah, this is definitely still playable. Alright, let's see it here. Okay. Yeah, 40s didn't really drop by all that much compared to the city area, like down there, you know, seeing the NPCs up close and everything. So yeah, it is pretty solid at 4K. It is possible to play this game at 4K, guys. That's actually pretty impressive coming from 6600 XT, because again, this is actually marketed as a 1080p gaming card, and at 1080p it provided an excellent experience in this game, aside from ray tracing. So yeah, it's very impressive that it's actually performing this well at 4K resolution. And I guess that's been it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know down in the comments if you expected higher performance coming from the 6600 XT. I actually did a little bit, but I'm happy with the results anyways, and it surpassed my expectations at 4K resolution, so it was not all disappointing, I guess you could say. So again, thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Love you all. Bye-bye.